أهلا بكم مشاهدينا، أنا كنت فرحات أرحب بكم. جهاز سنس لايف عبارة عن وسيلة تنبيه ترسل تحذيرا عبر تطبيق للهواتف الذكية للوالدين عند تركهم لأطفالهم في السيارات. الجهاز يستشعر نزول السائق من السيارة وبقاء الطفل فيها، حيث يقوم على الفور بإرسال تنبيه عبر الهاتف المحمول لذوي الطفل. فإذا لم تحدث استجابة يرسل نفس التحذير إلى هاتف آخر، ويمكن كذلك أن يبرمج الجهاز ليرسل تنبيه إلى الشرطة في حال عدم وجود أي استجابة. وللتذكير، خلال 10 دقائق فقط قد ترتفع الحرارة الداخلية للسيارة ب80% عما هي عليه، وخلال الدقائق الأولى يحصل الضرر الأكبر، ما قد يؤدي إلى درجات حرارة قاتلة للأطفال. نتعرف أكثر على هذا الجهاز وكيف يمكن لك التصرف في مثل هذه الحالات.
Especially when my kids were born, I started hearing about all these hot car deaths, and I started worrying. I said, there has to be a solution. I can't imagine what would happen, God forbid, if this happened to me. It's very devastating. So I partnered up with a friend of mine who is an engineer, and we said we have to come up with a permanent solution. This happens way too often, and me as a parent being overprotective, we needed a solution. I can't imagine having my kids grow up for the next 10 years and having this worry, whether it's my wife or grandma or our neighbor or somebody's watching my child.
أنا كأز جرandma مش بس إني أعتني في الأولاد، أنا بروح بسوي شوبينج، بوديهم على المدارس، بجيبهم، بوديهم إذا بلزم الأمر على دكتور، ما يعني كله هذا. والإنسان سنه ديفرنت. هلا أنا سني عن مرت ابني، عن بنتي، لأنه السن له يعني دور كبير، ومشاغل الحياة كبيرة، فمرات هي بتجبرك إنه تنسي أشياء. فلما اخترعوا هذه، لما وجدوا هاي الآلة، حسيت إنه تقريبا 75% رفعت التعب عني. ليش؟ خصوصا مرات لما مثلا بدي أنزل أعبي غاز، بتكون إيميلي طبعا معاي، بس عبارة سكرت الباب بيجيني على الألارم بقول لي تركت الطفل بالسيارة. إذا ما جاوبت دغري بتروح للأم والأب. فهذا بيعطيني زي ما تقولي سلامة لعقلي إنه أنا في أمان.
We developed and engineered our Sense of Life device to be something very simple but yet effective. You're holding a precious life in your hand and you have to have this work 1000%. So when we engineered this, we wanted to make sure not only will it save a life, but it can also potentially save any harm. Over 10,000 cases in the US where the children, thank God, don't die, but they end up in the hospitals. This is dragging up medical costs for the families and for the institutions. So hopefully we can alleviate a hospital visit, an ER visit, or potentially any kind of brain damage, trauma to the child, and hopefully not go through any of the trouble that will keep the parent's mind at ease, hopefully.
If a child is found in the car and they've been there for 10 minutes or longer and they've already suffered consequences of a heat stroke, it's almost impossible for them to be able to drink or have any function. In fact, they would be just taken quickly to the nearest facility for IV fluid hydration. If there is a situation where there isn't access to any type of urgent care, quickly what a parent must do, or someone that is nearby the car that sees this, after they are able to get the child out of the car, they should try to cool them down and take them into a house where there might be a fan or air condition, give them cold water if they're able to drink, but ultimately they must rush them immediately to the nearest local facility, whether a hospital or a clinic.
There are many misconceptions when it comes to dealing with the topic of hot car deaths. First, people think by drinking a lot of water, by hydrating yourself, that you are immune to this problem. Or there's another big misconception. If I leave the windows cracked while I go into the store, the kids are safe. Even with the windows cracked, it is a greenhouse effect. All you need is a small disc that goes under the child. This child can be on top of the child seat or underneath the fabric, it doesn't matter. All it requires is 2 pounds of pressure to turn the whole device on. It communicates with a small device that goes by the drivers. This highly engineered technology has an optical sensor. The moment the driver tries to exit the vehicle, it will send off a loud vocal alert.
Occupant detected in car seat. Please remove child from the seat.
And ours does not rely on just an app or a phone. We want to catch you right there before you leave the vehicle and make you think twice before you say, I'm going to leave Johnny or Emily in the seat for 5 minutes. Severe damage happens in less than 5 to 10 minutes in very hot states like Florida and Texas and Arizona. After, if you missed a loud vocal alert or you say, I'm going to be back in 5 minutes, then you will get an app alert. An app alert will continue to go off for about a minute or two and will continue to alert you as long as the child's in there. If you ignore that or your phone is dead or nothing is working on the phone, then an emergency contact that you designate on the app will be contacted. From what has been reported in the last 15-20 years, over 900 deaths have occurred just in the US. There has been many more occurrences around the world, but 1 child dies every 9 days just in the US, but the most important number is over 10,000 cases where they end up in the hospital, and those are just the ones that are reported. We believe that this number is much higher, but people are scared to say that this has happened to them out of shame in their community, or just they're afraid that they may lose their child. The fear, especially being in the Arab culture world, is thinking again that this cannot happen to us, and it's a very big fear of shaming, especially in the community that we're in. You are afraid that if you say this happened to me, that you could be shamed among your peers, among your community, and so you worry, do I say something, do I not say something? Although the best thing to do by us raising awareness is to show that this can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're Arab, American, Asian, it doesn't matter. We are all humans with the same kind of minds, and there is a solution for it, but the first solution is to admit that there's a problem. And as humans, we have a problem admitting when there is a problem. Israel and Palestine have both reported a lot of these cases recently. I have seen numerous events on Facebook and other social websites where they are reporting these poor angels who are losing their lives, because most of it is happening due to the lack of awareness of this problem. Again, it's a taboo subject. But by educating and knowing that this problem exists, we can treat it with simple solutions such as Sense of Life. Other countries, such as the Emirates, United Arab Emirates, have had over 150 occurrences just in the last 12 months. Thankfully, not many have died that are reported, but over 150 kids have been left in a hot vehicle and thankfully saved just in the last 12 months alone.
Well, it's really important to understand that if families are not discussing these topics and are not able to fully express their fear and concern with other family members, including relatives that will be taking care of the children, the incident can occur again. It's also very important to understand that if this was to happen to you or to anyone you know, never be afraid that because of it, there might be serious consequences for you as the parent. Arabs do have problems with depression. Arabs do have problems with dealing with very difficult situations, and we have to admit to it because we're human.
Now we have my daughter who's dealing with a nanny, or she might be going to school soon, and I want to make sure that there's an active security around her. I want to know that there's another level or another layer of protection. That's what was provided to me as I was growing up as a child from my own father, and I want to do it even tenfold with my own daughter.
So when we developed Sense of Life, not only did we make a standalone device for the 25 million seats that are sold every year, where a person already has a vehicle, already have a child seat, but we also engineered it and patented so that it can be easily built into all future vehicles and even child seats. Why is it important to put this in all vehicles? We also have the Hot Cars Act that was proposed, and it's bipartisan, both Congress and senators on both sides of the aisle that have proposed this bill that says all future vehicles should have this type of technology in it to save these lives because it's becoming such an epidemic. This will help raise awareness that this is not a silly or a stupid problem that can only happen to a poor person or uneducated person. This happened to a doctor, this has happened to a lawyer, it's happened to a police officer, and recently it's happened to a judge and a CEO. So this has nothing to do with education, but to educate the people that the problem exists and what the solutions are and how to handle the problem if it does occur.
الحياة مش بس إنك تدير بالك على طفل وتطعميه وتأكله وتلبسه، الحياة أكثر هي سلامة الطفل. وياما عم نشوف حوادث مش لأنهم هن مهملين بأطفالهم، لا بليبمي إنه لأنهم هن حياتهم، الحياة صفت صعبة ومطالبها كتيرة، فإجباري بتجبرك إنك مرات تنسى في معاك طفل. فهذا الاشي بتعطيك تنبيه 100% تنبيه. فأحسن من هاي السيارة اللي بدي خايفة أضربها، لا أحسن هاي بتنبهني إني عندي طفل اصحي تخسري حياته.
مشاهدينا أشكركم على المتابعة. في النهاية أذكركم بصفحتنا على الفيسبوك المجلة شو، وللتواصل معنا راسلوني على الإيميل الإلكتروني المجلة@الحرة.com، وبلاقيكم الأسبوع المقبل بنفس الموعد.